Hey, Cortavius here. Just wanted to get my view out on this deck of deck of fate coming up where you get a guaranteed guaranteed champ. Obviously, you can tell I'm not a fan, but let's at least talk through why. And then I'm also going to get into in the second half of this, there's some AI stuff that's come out that's really cool. Incomplete. Definitely would love some, but let's talk about that when we get to that. So anyway, guaranteed champ. So you do have a chance to get Gracho's Turn Drake, and it's going to be through the Deck of Fate, which, by the way, if you watched my video on the Fusion coming out, if you didn't, go watch that. But I did say, I figure they're going to do a Deck of Fate with Dungeon Divers in it, because there's only 2 Dungeon Divers. Everybody's like, hey, only 2 Dungeon Divers. So, sure enough, there's a Deck of Fate with Dungeon Divers in it and Summoning Souls. Now, whenever they do both of these, usually the first one's the more realistic one. And so what that really means is there's going to be a crappy Dungeon Divers element to this where it's going to take boatloads of energy to go get this guy. And like it's half the fragments in this thing. You got to flip 40 cards and half the cards are fragments. So realistically, you're going to have to pull all 40 of them. I mean, you got a 50-50 chance that last card's going to have fragments in it. So yeah, I mean, maybe 2 or 3 at best if you have great odds, but you're going to have to flip 40 cards, and Dungeon Divers will be an incredible mess. And the question then would be, do you put a whole bunch of energy into using those Dungeon Divers when they don't count to the Fusion?
Hey, before we go on, click the link in the description right now, and you can get the great legendary poisoner, Narma, along with 3 epics. You get Anax, Mausoleum Mage, and the best epic in the game, Uugo, as you progress. All you have to do is follow 4 steps. Step 1, log out Play and Play on the PC and uninstall. Step 2, click the link in the description and register with a brand new email. Step 3, launch Raid, complete the tutorial. And Step 4, go to your inbox, Narma's there waiting. These 4 free champions will give you an insane head start in Raid, so click on that link before it expires.
So I tell if you're focused on this Fusion, which is a Void Legendary with some cool stuff going on, I'd go get the Void Legendary. So I wouldn't spend energy in this Dungeon Divers unless you have a ton of it, and it won't risk your ability to do the Dungeon Divers later. As I said in the Fusion schedule, you could hold a couple of these things until Dungeon Divers opens. I think there's a champ training and a spiders. So you could run them during the Deck of Fate, but then you won't have those points for the Dungeon Divers in the Fusion. So I think this is one Dungeon Divers element. You'd have to ask yourself if you have enough energy. I'd skip. Second thing would be Souls. They haven't said anything yet about 2x Souls. Last times we had a Souls-based event and they didn't say anything, there was no 2x. So they could surprise us. We still have a couple days. But realistically, they're giving you a guaranteed champ. I don't think they're going to give you a 2x at the same time. So no 2x. It's going to take a lot of souls, I bet, to get the guy too. So you're going to pull a bunch of souls with no 2x. So you'd have to ask yourself then, well, is the champ worth it? So pulling up the Hell Hades site here, because then you can see the multipliers as well as the champ rating. So they give this guy like a 4.5, which isn't showing up in this video for some reason, but they give him a 4.5, which is a great rating, but I just don't see it. So if you get to the ratings, I mean, he's got 4 and 5 stars all over the place. 5 stars is much more impactful, so I guess I see more 4s than 5s. And then for skills, increases ally HP in all battles by 28%. That's pretty good. Attacks one enemy, ignores 25% of the defense, heals all allies by 10% of his max HP. So ignoring 25% of defense on the A1 would be good if he did damage, but it's got a strong rating, which pretty much means crap. So he's number 1,402 in the game rank in Demon Lord, for example. In Arena, it'd be 1,000. So it's just, strong is just a low rating. So he's got an ignore defense ability that doesn't do much. So he puts a heal on there. Great, I got an A1 heal. Okay. And then A2, attacks all enemies 2 times, will ignore defense again if they have less than 50% HP. Once again, the rating on its average. So I said strong wasn't good. This one's average. So he doesn't even hit with it. Okay, he can put up decreased defense and block buffs, and he ignores some resistance if they have lower HP. Okay, decreased defense and block buffs. Huh. I can get that from the epic. So I got a heal on the A1, which isn't as good as Uugo's, and I got decreased defense and block buffs on the A2, which Uugo can do the epic. 3-turn cooldown is good. So far I'm thinking I'll take Uugo. And then he's got A third one places increased defense on allies for 2 turns and places block damage on allies for 1 turn on a 3-turn cooldown. So that's an upgrade from Uugo because I'm actually going to block some defense and I'm going to get some increased defense out there. So no attack on there, so he's not doing any damage, but he does bring some utility to keep people alive. Now, Hydra's a place where you want to use him because he's got decreased defense and block buffs. But if I put block damage on all allies in Hydra, well, now I need resistance on my team where I better have a Mischief tank because if Mischief comes in and steals block damage and spreads it, now I've got I've got the poison clouds, which can block my damage. I've got that buff that they come back with from being spawned again, which you can't do damage. And I could have a block damage stolen. When do I get my damage in? So I'm not a big fan of things like block damage that gets on all allies in a fight like Hydra. So maybe you can use him elsewhere, but I feel like he's a Hydra champ more than anything. He's not an arena champ. He's not really a Chimera champ. So I feel like he's fighting for Uugo with a spot. And yeah. So anyway, if an ally has more than 50% HP, is under buff placed by this champ, ally deals 10% more damage. If the ally has less than 50%, is attacked by somebody with debuffs, then he gives 10% less damage. So you've got some damage manipulation here where you can do more damage and take less damage. That's a pretty cool passive. So I'll take that. It's definitely a good passive. So if I pulled him from a shard, I don't know that I build him. Because now you got to book the guy because those cooldowns are important. So you're talking 5, 7, you hope you don't hit these, but up to 11 books. So a legendary with 11 books or an epic, which is easier to book in Uugo. So I looked at the comments in other videos and basically I can't find anybody who says they have the guy and actually built and used him and likes him. Most people said they got him, they don't use him. So it just comes back to the summon skip comment I made. I can't see using souls in it outside of 2 times. And I'm doing a whole bunch of energy into Dungeon Divers for a champ that I just don't see the use, and I feel like there's an epic that fights close enough to his skill sets that I just use the Uugo. So that's my advice. Don't waste your souls, even if they put it 2 times out there. Those things are currency, and I just don't see using a bunch of them to get this guy. He's just not worth it even with the 2 times. And the Dungeon Diver energies, just save your energy. Go farm some masteries. Let's focus on the fusion. So that's my view on this guy. I just don't think he's worth it for the amount of cost they're going to put out there. It's just don't see it. All right, second part of this I said I'd cover some of the AI stuff, and this is where I'd actually love some comments. If you could put comments in here on this video of AI where you'd still like to see it improved. They actually have a forum in here, and I'll hit at the bottom. The mods are actually responding to comments. So I feel like it would be great to go in here and actually list. Here's what I'd love to see in the next version of this. You know, kudos to them for putting AI changes in. I love it when they go do those. But please comment on where you think they missed. I'll give you my example, Warlord. Warlord has got the dumbest AI in the game in my mind. He's got one of the best single skills in the game for PvP and PvE content where he puts all the enemy skills on cooldown. What does he do? He comes into an arena fight, puts shields on everybody, and says, give me your best shot. Give me what you got. If we can live through the hits, then I'll put your skills on cooldown. How stupid is that? I mean, come on, Warlord. Do your skill. Put their skills on cooldown, then come back and put the shields up, you idiot. I'm blaming Warlord, but it ain't his fault. He was made stupid. So, Plarium, please fix that one, right? Crazy. So that's definitely one I'd put in there. So that's my Steam Stealer. Let me know what I missed. So anyway, let's go through these. I'll try and do this somewhat quickly. What they have is we got some Hydra. So Geomancers, if all enemies are in a block debuffs, it's got this whole thing on Geomancer. Honestly, I really can't even tell what they're trying to do there. I actually didn't get it. I think Geomancer works fine. And I don't know why I'd want him running in with his A2 to steal buffs if they all have block debuffs up. And why it would matter. So I'd like to have him go steal ahead of Wrath's increased attack or block damage. If you told me if the enemy has block damage, he'll prioritize going to steal that, I'd be on board. But to tell me block debuffs would be the determinant of whether he uses Creep and Petrify. And what that means then is, wait, he won't use his big damage skill, his A3, to put up HP burn because he's going to go try and steal a buff instead. So I really don't even know what the point of those two is. So Calvalax, not on cooldown. Great. I don't know how many people are using Calvalax, so I'll skip that one. And Clan Boss. Samar Gem Cursed. I guess they buffed him, so it's actually nice that they're still working on him. Newt will use Blessed Bash against Bommel himself instead the boss's minions. So that's actually pretty helpful. I've seen other comments where people are saying, hey, Newt uses his other skills on other places. Why just Bommel are you fixing it? So one that people mention is Ice Golem. I kind of get Ice Golem, though, and because he probably opens up with his decreased attack and weaken, which means the Ice Golem's going to do less damage before he comes in with that big max HP hit. So I don't know that Ice Golem one would make sense to me. So, but at least they're fixing Bommel. If Vincenzo's Geralt looks down to cooldown, they do something there. Great. Little Miss Annie. Okay, I'll skip that. How many of you are using Little Miss Annie in great content? If there's many minions alive, the Queen of Hearts will prioritize off with their heads. Smart change. Royal Guard's hamstrings not on cooldown. Then it'll become the highest priority skill when fighting Amius. So that's what he's doing there, is he's putting the decreased speed on Amius there is what they're trying to get to instead of using his takedown. Okay. This is a nice one. Sun Wukong's Staff of Wonder is not on cooldown, and now you see us is on cooldown. The Staff of Wonder will become the highest priority when fighting Amius. It just says Amius, but I swear I see Wukong all over the place. Just sit there at A1. He won't use his big Staff of Wonder at times. Maybe it's Amius I'm thinking of? But I swear I see him doing that in other places where he just sits there in A1s. I really wish they had said, hey, he'll use all his skills wherever he is. But they didn't say that. So I fear he's still not quite right on the AI, which means you got to do team settings, which can be a pain. So Vizier, going to prioritize stuff against Stone Skin. This whole section here is nice. I think there's a lot of Stone Skid stupid champs out there. So Ramantu's not on here. Should be another one that, wait, maybe it's down here, Chimera. No, if Ramantu was in this section, when they come in with Stone Skin, Ramantu comes in and does his A2 4D bust, pow, 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 and hits the Stone Skin. He doesn't use his A3, which can steal the Stone Skin. So somebody comment on that, because I'm doing the video and I'm recording. I can't even remember to do it, but I think that one plus Warlord are two I would point out. But they do have, for my next trick, is still on Armands will use the Stone Skin. I've actually swear I thought they've done that already. Because my Armand's now on auto. If I'm going into 3v3 and there's a single champ there in Stone Skin, my Armand's is using that sheep skill right away. So I thought he was getting smarter already, and I thought it was a nice change. But hey, they're at least saying, hey, if there's, and this is interesting, there's only one enemy alive, so I guess that makes sense. If they've got 3 with Stone Skin and 3 without Stone Skin and 1 with Stone Skin, he's still going to try and steal turn meter. But at least if there's a single target Stone Skin, he's not going to sit there and try and steal the turn meter. So nice change. Gives Max something similar. Nice change for Odin with Stone Skin. So a whole bunch of Stone Skin focus changes there. Smart. There's more to do. So if you know other people who are stupid on Stone Skin, please comment. That'd be helpful for us to list those in so they can go target those the next time around. 2, in Chimera, if his Drake's Fury is not on, that'll be the highest skill, which is nice because then he's going to put his debuffs on the boss instead of trying to strip buffs and put the up. So it's, just prioritizing him on the Chimera. I don't use Romantu in Chimera anyway, but at least they're keeping them smart there. If there's more than one dead ally and one of them Sun Wukong, a champ with a single target skill won't target Sun Wukong. That seems like a smart change. Don't prioritize the guy who's going to pick himself up anyway. I've seen that happen, and that is maddening. An improvement for Toshiro. There's one more ally alive, and the ally is under sheep debuff. Necrod's skill will consider that ally the lowest priority. Once again, a nice change. You've got Necrod putting all his buffs on a sheep that can't even take them. So it's kind of funny, crazy if you think about it. Necrod's been in the game for years. Sheep's been in the game for a couple years at least now, and we're just getting around to fixing the AI. So pace of plarium change is pretty maddening at times. If there's any dead allies and Syl has her cooldown on, it'll be the highest priority skill. That's actually good because her default is if you have a dead ally, she'll stun first. There's some logic to that because if she can stun the enemy, they don't take a turn, then she can pick somebody up and get them back in the fight. If she brings them back out of the dead first and then the enemy just goes, everybody might be dead again. So there was actually some logic in this case to having her do her AoE stun first. I'd prefer to have her pick up the guy, but I actually would say this wasn't one where I would say that's just dumb AI. Having Necrit put buffs on a sheep, having Warlord open up with his shield, those are just stupid AI. There's no scenario in which that made sense. But having Syl open up, having Syl use her AoE stuff instead of revive, there was logic to that, I have to say. Then Elenaro will actually try and combust poisons if there's poison out there. How about that? So anyway, that's the AI stuff. So I love it that they do these periodically. It's just like champ rebalances. I wish they do it more often. I do think they probably test these. Anybody else laugh? Do we really think they tested this game? Oh man. So anyway, I hope they tested these, and that's why it takes longer to get these out, because they got to make sure they don't break anything. I can't even say it with a straight face. All right. Well, anyway, I think that's it for this video. We got the skip summon thing. Just, yeah, don't do it. It's not worth it. And then you've got the AI changes. So as I said, please comment. Please give me AI changes that you think are worthy. I'll come in here. I guess I didn't come in here. If you come down to the end here, you can see people are putting comments in here. And the mods actually coming back in there and responding to those. So I think it's an opportunity. I mean, mods aren't the devs, but the mods talk to devs. So at least it looks like a chance to get better feedback than we usually do. That's it. Appreciate it. Hope this was helpful for you. Please like and subscribe. I really, if I want to keep putting effort in, I definitely would love to see some subs out there. So appreciate it. Thanks. Hey, have a great day.